Perfect. So I wanted to offer some regular live Q&A opportunities to give a platform for which we can talk, discuss, and ask specific questions about classes and how they bring value to your practice. You know, a lot of times we're reading about course descriptions or we're hearing from fellow colleagues about classes, but I think it's a really nice opportunity just to chat a little bit more about this curriculum and come together, you know, as a community throughout the year. So I'm going to plan to continue to do some live Q&As throughout the year, just highlighting all of the different amazing modules in the BodyTalk system. I think most of you know me because at one point in time you've taken a class with me, and it's so great to see you. But if you do not, I'm Dr. Tracy Clark, and I'm an advanced senior BodyTalk instructor. And I started my training in 2007, and I started teaching in 2009. And I come from a bit of a varied background. My beginning of my journey in BodyTalk began entirely with BodyTalk. And working in practice just inspired me to want to learn and learn and learn. And like any one of the courses in this curriculum that just, it's like being bitten by a bug and wanting to know more, I continued my education. I became a manual osteopath and then continued on to a PhD level in integrative medicine. But although I'm on faculty with 3 different companies, I do devote my time really to teaching the BodyTalk curriculum because as a practitioner, to me, it is the number one most effective tool in my toolkit as a clinician, but also in anything that I've really found along my way of studies. And there's been a lot of studying, but I really love what this system offers for me in my practice, and I love to teach it. So I devote my time to that. And it's so nice to finally be able to come back into in-person classes as well as having the opportunity to get together online because we are a global community. And I think one of the gifts that came out of the pandemic and COVID specifically was just that opportunity to bring this education online so that we can come together from multiple continents. We can meet our colleagues around the world and we can learn together and share together. So as I said, I started teaching in 2009, and I now teach the whole curriculum with the exception of Module 8, which is BodyTalk for Animals. But what I love about the BAI class is that it's an opportunity for us to really revisit the advanced courses as a flow, to see what Dr. John Veldheim was creating in this system and how entwined these courses are, how each one of them gives us a different aspect of understanding why this is consciousness-based healthcare and understanding how philosophies, whether they're coming from Chinese medicine or Vedic philosophy or even Western anatomy and physiology or quantum theory, come together to give us an amazing model of working with this downward causation understanding and working with consciousness. So each one of these modules, as John created them, is interwoven with each other. And the BAI class is an opportunity to come back and actually look at it as a totality. So this is really, for me, an opportunity for you to ask questions. But as people are still coming online, I just want to give you, an overview when I look at this class of how it could bring value to you in your practice. Because there's really 2 streams of thought that approach the BAI class. So this is an advanced integration. What it is really a review of the advanced modules, with the exception of Module 5, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But it is a review of Module 3, 6, 9, and 4.7. It brings together these concepts. It helps us to look at it as a whole. It is a review that allows us to prepare for advanced certification, if that's something that you're interested in. So a lot of students, myself included, strive for that next level of certification for a few reasons. Maybe because you want to become an instructor, or maybe because you just want to have a little bit of a higher level of recognition, either on the IBA website or in your own community, or just an opportunity to have a higher level of certification that allows you to maybe charge a little bit more, increase your rates with your clients. For me, that process is really about solidifying information. So when I learn information, I really like to feel that I know it. And for whatever reason, going through that process of exam, to me, is a real milestone or a real key piece of that journey to help me to feel like, yeah, I know this stuff. And so there are people like that as well, who really just drawn into working at that advanced level and taking it to the level of an exam and really certifying at that advanced level. But the other stream who might be interested in this class is really just one who are ready to take their practice to a newer level of mastery and understanding these concepts from a bigger picture perspective and revisiting the gems of each of these modules. Because as you know, when you're learning the advanced modules, you're learning them as separate entities on their own. Each class jam-packed full of information. That's one thing that's consistent with every course in the BodyTalk system. There's no lack of new concepts and things to learn in 2, 3, or 4-day classes. So, our focus is entirely on that module. But the BAI class helps us to see how the consciousness concepts of Module 3 are reflected in the Chinese medicine philosophies of Module 4 and 7, and how we're talking about the movement of energy and the importance of that movement of energy and what happens when energy gets stuck. And how when we move into Module 6 and we start talking about the relationship to the external world, the environmental patterns as they're reflected in the internal environment, and our internal environment creating our external. And then into Module 9, where we talk not just about the relationship to the environment, but the relationship to others. Rather, it's internal relationships, whether it's relationships to our themes of consciousness and the things that we've identified with, or it's relationship with families, our work colleagues, our business perspectives. So each one of them really brings consciousness to the forefront, but from a slightly different perspective. Each one of them expands our vocabulary of how we can explain the significance of a balance to our client and how it might resonate for them in their life. And so one thing I love about this class is that it's not necessarily about completing an advanced certification. It's about coming to this advanced material like a whole book, bringing each chapter together, reading it from beginning to end, and walking that journey of the curriculum that John so beautifully created for us. So there are new things that we learn in this class, as well as it being a review of this material. We're also going to teach you some new tools. New ways of using satellites, some important new influences of things that we can draw on to help to infuse that formula with the energetic balance that it needs. And new ways, more advanced ways to work with time delay. So in Module 4 and 7, we learn about using time delay as it relates to performance agendas, for example, or even as it relates to a session or a formula in a session. But in the BAI class, we're going to give you some tools of how to work with things repetitively, how to work with the delays within a formula, so that one thing runs and then there's a little bit of a gap and then another thing integrates, helping the body to find the rhythm of integration. Ways to work with time to allow that formula to actually adjust itself as that repeats through that client's day or over a period of time. And the time element of this class, I find, shows up very often for me in my practice. When we learn to use these tools, it brings a whole different dimension to how we can support the integration of the formulas or the session as a whole for a client. So these are wonderful new tools that we'll be introducing to you as well in that course. So having said that, because we're a smaller group, I'd love to give you an opportunity to just introduce yourself to each other. And maybe if you can let me know where you are in your BodyTalk journey and what kind of intrigues you today about talking about this class. So Teresa, our coordinator, my upcoming BAI class, I have 3 and I'll give you the dates shortly. Do you want to introduce yourself, Teresa?
I'm Teresa Spong. I live in Texas where it's hot. And I think of all the classes that I've taken over and over and over again, I have never taken this class. And I was so excited about the idea of really being able to integrate all the concepts together, right? And then to learn some of the new techniques as well. And I think it's just going to be nice for me to do a nice review of all classes too. And because we do forget, like, oh, there are some gems in there that don't always pop up for us in sessions. And I'm always reminded when I retake a class, oh my gosh, I really should. That's powerful, right? And so I'm really excited about that idea of just being able to integrate them on a deeper level.
Excellent. Thanks, Teresa. And Teresa has a full-time practice, yeah? Excellent. And Anna, hello. You have a question?
Answering your question as to what brings you here,
Yeah.
is that okay?
Absolutely, please.
Yeah, I know. I'm super excited for this opportunity. Where I am in my journey is I don't have like a practice like Teresa, and I see some others who in their background they have their practice already fully set up, and I think that that's very exciting. And I've been in my journey with BodyTalk. I as a certified practitioner a couple of years ago, and then I very quickly started taking the advanced modules. I'm still pending two of the advanced modules, the family matrix, which I'm signed up to take at the end of the year, and the lymphatic system, which I'm trying to find a good moment to take that. But I find that in my practice, I've been using the system mostly for friends and family, and very little because I haven't promoted myself as a practitioner openly. And I'm hoping to do that. I'm feeling more and more confident each day. And I'm hoping that with a program like this one, I'll feel fully confident to serve people with mind-body medicine. Thank you.
Fantastic. It's so nice to finally meet you, Anna.
I did take a class with you, but I know that mostly a lot of it is one way. But I did module 6 with you.
Oh,
earlier,
that's right. That's right. That's
a year
right.
and a half ago.
Yes, I apologize.
I loved it, and I'm, like you said, it never comes up in my sessions, and I guess it doesn't come up because I'm not fully confident yet, and I think that that's important.
That's so true. Yeah. How many of you notice that? Certain things that just kind of stay on the shelf, right? It's usually because there's an opportunity to look at that. Maybe because it's, we're just not on the same wavelength, or we haven't found that thing that really relates to us, or even more importantly, we haven't found a way to talk about it. And that to me is a big one. As an instructor, I think that's maybe the most important thing for me, is to give you a language to talk about these concepts, because at the end of the day, your client doesn't have the opportunity to sit through a day-long lecture to understand these concepts. It really comes down to you in a very simple, succinct way to tell your client what the significance of this item, this balance is about. And if we have more elevated concepts like planets or houses or matrices, it's about finding an easy way to talk about it to a client so that it lands, it resonates, it makes sense, that they can integrate that. And I think that that's the key at the end of the day. So that's another very important part of this class for me, is that every concept that we revisit, we're revisiting it from that mindset of how do I talk about this easily to a client, right? Because then it becomes your tool. Then it's easy to use. So Teo, how are you? Nice to see you.
Hi, nice to see you too. So I'm Theodora. I'm in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. This actually marks like 10 years as a BodyTalk practitioner.
Congratulations. Wow.
And I've been teaching BodyTalk Access since 2019. And at that point, I didn't need to be advanced certified to teach. Mm-hmm. And Sherry's kind of been...
Excellent. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah. Very simple for me to potentially, teach fundamentals or move in that direction. So
wonderful.
I did take advanced integration with Sylvia. I think it was her last class in Calgary a few years ago now. 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years. So yeah, and I feel like during like maybe COVID, but also just moving into teaching, I kind of not take a break, but I was focused on teaching. And I feel like in the last year, a little bit, I've been revisiting some of the advanced modules. So I think it would be, nice to take the refresher course of the advanced integration and then, potentially advanced certify.
Fantastic.
So,
oh, that's
I really
so
like
good.
your language. I really like your language, Tracy, and the way you just lay things out. So I think it would be great to take this class with you at some point.
Well, I'd love to see you in class. I'm so glad that Sherry has put that little bug in your ear. That's good.
Well, and it's funny because I have people that are like, do you teach this class? Do you teach this class? When are you going to start teaching this class? So I think it's just out there. Yeah.
Excellent. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, I'll help you in any way I can as well.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Hey, Vanessa. Good morning.
Tracy, hi everyone. I am from South Africa, but have been moved to Seattle about a year ago. I had a full-time practice in South Africa, and I've started a full-time practice here, as well as resurrecting what was the BodyTalk Association here. So important for me as the chair of the Pacific Northwest BodyTalk Association to make sure that I am doing everything I can as a practitioner to make sure I'm in that space, so that any of the members that come into that group, any of the practitioners that have fallen by the wayside that are now coming back in, to actually be the best that I can be. And I did take BAI with Claudia during the pandemic online. And I just think taking it again, because I am in the process of advanced certifying, that I need to take it again just to solidify a lot of those. And I haven't actually taken a class with you, Tracy. So for me, it's I've heard so many things from so many different people that I think taking a class with you will help me to the language that you use and all of those things, to bring that into my clients for better understanding for them as well.
Excellent.
So that's one for me.
And I'm so excited to see what you're doing out in the West Coast, Vanessa. I'm so excited to come out and share in that fun with you all. And I think you bring such an important point when Vanessa said, in order for me to model that, I need to do what I can do. And I think that that's such an important part of life, but definitely in practice. It's that we walk the steps first. We can only take our client as far as we've taken ourselves. We can only take our other practitioners or the people that we're mentoring as far as we've gone. And so that journey always begins personally. And I find that about the material in the BodyTalk system as well, is that, we may take a course with the thought that, I need to learn this for my clients. But very quickly we realize, no, I need to learn this for me. And I think that that's such an important thing to come back to again and again. That's the biggest thing we invest in, is first investing in self and investing in our own capabilities as practitioners. It's not so much about chasing the next tool, but rather really embodying the tools that we already have. So great to see you, Vanessa. Thanks for joining us today. And hi, Angela. Good morning to you. Many of you on the West Coast today.
Good morning. I'm Angela Chapman. I have a almost full-time practice. As you can see, this is my office in my home. I have been doing BodyTalk since 2014, I think. It's been a while. The reason I'm interested in coming back to the basics is because I've taken so many other courses that I'm actually a little bit confused, I'm going to be honest, with the BodyTalk piece. So for me, getting right back to the languaging of the basics of it, so that when I'm bringing in other modalities, I can have it straight in my head.
Beautiful.
Things have gotten. So that's why I'm interested in taking the course. And I've never taken this course, and I didn't even know that anybody was teaching this. I thought after Sylvia left that was it. There was no advanced. You couldn't get your advanced certification in BodyTalk. I don't know where I've been. I guess I just paid attention. I don't know. So I'd like to know what that looks like in terms of like how long does it take, and how many practicum do you need to do, and what's the exam look like, and do you have to study it with someone under? Do you have to study it with under you? Like, how does that all work? I'm not sure. I don't know enough.
Excellent. Yeah, that's one thing I want to make sure that I do today in this hour, is to kind of walk you through that process too, for any of you who are interested in advanced certification, what's involved. And I'll break it down a little bit for you. It is all available in our policies and procedures document, which you can download on the members website. But I think it's helpful for me to just take you through that practically. What are the steps? Where are you at? In fact, once you begin that process, it'll actually show you on the IBA website each thing that you accomplish, right? Where you are in the journey, how close you are to that advanced certification. So I'll definitely walk you through that as a group today for those of you who are interested. And yeah, to your point, Angela, I think that that's also such a key component of this class, as I said, to sort of solidify that information as a whole. And a lot of times we can take classes very, very quickly in this system. I know myself, I did that. I came into it with such enthusiasm that within less than a year, I had taken all of the advanced modules. But then I really needed to come back to them because that's so much information in a short period of time. And a lot of it we don't fully integrate before we're learning the next thing. And that's not even to mention the other things that we study and we bring into our practice. Now, one thing that I mentioned earlier is that I really love this system as a template to work with all of the other modalities I've practiced. In fact, I don't practice any of the other ones without using the BodyTalk model. And so I will talk to that, in the class as well, about how we seamlessly integrate our other modalities, and with some really key components about how we communicate that to our client, why that's so important, how we can use really the advanced procedures or even just the procedural process in BodyTalk, even when we're working in another modality. So once I go into another modality, I'm still using this concept of priority. I'm still open to details. I'm still open to the process of linking. And how can you use that in other modalities? So it's a brilliant tool. To me, it's the gold of the BodyTalk system is the procedure. I mean, the protocol is brilliant, but the procedure is worth its weight in gold because it's a way of working that you can take into any other modality that allows you to put the body mind first, as opposed to always coming at that from a set protocol. It allows you to take the tools that you've learned and you've embodied in your practice, but to use them in the way that best support the client. So yes, we'll definitely spend some time in the class talking about those very important nuances of working with these tools. But if you hold that question, Angela, after I chat with everyone, I'll come back and I'll walk through that advanced certification process for anyone else who's interested. And hi, Elaine. How are you?
Hi, Tracy. Hi,
Great to see you
everybody.
again.
Thank you. Great to see you. I'm Elaine. I'm in Cork in Ireland. I've done a few courses with Tracy, which have all blown my mind in a wonderful way. I'm very excited to do this course because, without going into it too much, I just feel very scattered with everything. So I feel like I haven't embodied, yeah. I feel a bit messy in the last few months. I don't have any clients. I won't promote myself. I feel like I have so much knowledge and so much, and I'm overwhelmed, and I don't know where to start. I've got a wonderful website. I keep doing courses. Part of me thinks, am I going for my advanced to give me more reason not to practice? If I do that, then I'll, then I'll do it, then I'll do it, then I'll do it. I probably don't need any more information. I've been studying my whole life. So yeah, I would love to integrate this in a whole, into me, embody it all. And also just a quick thing about, what you said about integrating other modalities. I think that has confused me so much with my art and art therapy and how to. I've been trying to figure it out in my mind how to. Instead of allowing myself to do it, I've been trying to use my brain thinking, how do I do art therapy and this? And how do I, if a client comes to me, so I just go, I'll just run back into this corner and do another course. But it's confused, so that's okay.
Wow, how many of us have done exactly what Elaine is explaining? That's so true, Elaine. It's an interesting journey, isn't it? Of needing to know more in order to feel like we know anything.
Yes. So anyway, that's me. But I love it all, and yeah. So I'm excited to do this, and I really want to do my advanced for a lot of reasons. Just to all of the reasons that you said before. So
Brilliant. Well, you know, the integration classes, whether it's fundamentals integration or this advanced integration class, is really an opportunity for us to come together as practitioners with a higher level of discussion, right? We're going to really talk about these practical elements of what it means to set up a practice, to get it going, to really get ourselves in there, the belief systems that we come up against, I think working as a community in that regard is a really different dynamic. It's not so much about learning new information. It's about learning how to use this information, right? Really using our tools. And to me, one of the most important tools, the most important tool at the end of the day, is always your procedures. So of course, in this case, we are talking about advanced procedures, obviously. But the advanced procedures stand on the foundation of the basic procedures. And a lot of times I think when people when they get to the place of confusion, it's because all of this information out in the protocol has taken us away from the simple recipe that stays consistent no matter how many new concepts we bring in. And I think that core consistency is what gives you the confidence of practice. So in each module, our focus tends to be on the new info, the new concepts, right? And I know as an instructor, I try to drive that language in every class. But in this one, to me, before we even revisit all of these modules, it's about revisiting this core script, right? The questions we're asking, what do they mean? How do we use them? And then we see that all of these concepts just sit on top of that same recipe, right? Once you have that nailed, once that is just the way you think, then it doesn't matter whether you're in matrices or you're working with planets or you're working with 5 elements or you're in EGBs. It doesn't matter. It's always the same process. And I think that's another really important thing for me here, is that it doesn't matter how many new ideas we give you. If you don't know how to integrate them in a simple way, then again, they'll stay up on the shelf. So excellent, Elaine. I'm so glad that you're considering this class, because I think that's really an important piece of the puzzle. Sam, hello.
Hi. I'm Sam from Los Angeles, California. I've been in BodyTalk for maybe 8 years now. I actually hardly use BodyTalk anymore in my practice. I only have maybe availability for 1 to 2 days a month that I kind of just stack old clients. I'm not looking to take on new BodyTalk clients. I've spent this past year building a successful business as a CFT practitioner, specializing in infants. And that's really where it feels like I'm supposed to be right now. So I'm wanting to I kind of use BodyTalk in my day-to-day with the babies only as a last resort when the CFT feels like it's not what they're needing, or it's not working, or they're too dysregulated or something like that. And I'm wondering if there's a way to have it be more of a foundation as opposed to a last resort.
Yeah.
I think it just has potential to make the CFT that much more successful and beneficial off the bat.
Absolutely.
So that would be cool. I kind of just am here at the Q&A to kind of see if it feels like a yes, and take the class, or it feels like not right now. I have not been taking any classes lately, other than I haven't been taking BodyTalk classes lately. So just wanted to see if it feels exciting.
Brilliant. Lovely. Well, it's so good to see you, Sam. And I understand completely, because I am a manual therapist. So when I first started training in manual therapy, I really had a very separate mindset between working as an osteopath or craniopsychotherapist or visceral therapist or whatever I was doing, and BodyTalk. And I think that in fact that's a good thing in the beginning. I think we do have to separate it, because I think that it allows us to really embrace the purity of what it is that we're practicing. But then eventually what happens is we see this sort of organic merging. And what began to happen for me, I would lean into the osteopathic realm and that mindset when I was practicing. But eventually what I started to see is that if I started an osteopathic session with the BodyTalk mindset, the session became very different, and much more effective. because I could also see that there would be things that weren't entirely shifting. And I realized that, okay, this is effective, but it's only effective on this much of the story, because I am working, although I'm observing energy and I'm working holistically, there sometimes are ways that we need to work that are not at the physical level. And so I started switching around, and I started always starting with moving through the BodyTalk protocol. And sometimes it would take me immediately to osteopathy, but I would stay in that mindset of, okay, which aspect am I doing? Okay, I'm doing craniosacral therapy. All right, but what part of craniosacral therapy am I doing? And in what order? And are there any details? And would I have a link? And all of a sudden I started to have storylines appear. So I might still be doing the vault hold, but I have a whole chain of relationships that appear. And I have an awareness of emotional holding, or there's a consciousness being represented here in this movement. And all of a sudden it became a whole different ballgame. So it's an interesting process that I've observed in terms of the need to have them separate for a while. And then eventually the aha moment that comes where, wow, what a difference this can make, right? This can be a whole different way of working. And so now I never practice. I study a lot of Chinese medicine. I only ever practice it using BodyTalk to do it. Osteopathy, I only ever practice using BodyTalk to establish, what do I need to do first? Do I go right into this? What order do I need to do it in? What else do I need to know about it? Are there environmental factors, right? So all of a sudden it colors it in a new way. So I hope it's something you consider, Sam. I think you're right. I think it can take it even that much further for you. And I love seeing that that's the work you're doing. I think that's a great niche for you. Lovely, lovely. And last but not least, Sharon, how are you? Nice to see you.
Myself down.
Oh, we lost your picture. Oh, now your microphone. So we have your picture, but no, there you go. Perfect.
Okay, here we go. This has been great already, and really, I won't take a whole lot of time because it's just ditto, ditto, ditto. So I've been practicing BodyTalk in a full-time basis from a clinic at home since 2019, 2018, somewhere in there, I don't even know when. And I've completed all the modules, but again, ditto. Some things just don't appear, so I know that that's my clue that I need my intention. I've taken some of the modules a second time. There's a couple more that I'd like to take a second time, but one of my questions for today was, for me, is it too early to take the integration? Because, like, I hate to say it to you, Tracy, but matrices is one thing that I just don't. That's just one module that doesn't show up in my session. So, but the more I hear, I think the integration would be a good kickoff spot again, and then I can go deeper into another, the other couple modules, or to repeat them, right?
Absolutely. One thing I would ask, Sharon, when you took module 9, did you take it back to back with module 6?
Yes, and that was, I look back at it and I say, like, it was just one after another, and it just was too much integration.
Yes, yeah. I think that's in the old days of in-person classes, and although we're starting to do that again, that's kind of a practical way of teaching them, because if a teacher is traveling in from a distance and they're 2-day courses, it only makes sense to put them back to back. But it is a lot of information, and I think a lot of people struggle with module 9 for that very reason, is because they've just come out of module 6 and their brain is full, and now we're adding even more concepts. So I've noticed that in having the opportunity to teach these online, and I only ever teach them on their own online, so we can just focus on that material. That one thing you might want to do, Sharon, is consider like an online repeat, just so that you can focus only on module 9. And I think that even going forward and doing in-person classes, it'd be really nice if we're going to do a 6 and a 9 to try to separate them by a couple of days, so at least the brain can have a little bit of time. But I think that it's not ideal, unfortunately, for a student to do them back to back like that, because it's a lot.
And then I layered soon after that trauma. So I've done trauma.
Wow.
Now, granted, I'm using the trauma, it's kind of my base guide, and I mean, it's excellent, but there's just some holes that I'm not happy with. So
excellent. Well, a good opportunity to kind of look at the big picture in the BAI class. And if you can seek out an online Mod 9 at some point, it might be nice to do that too. I mean, the nice thing is when we're monitoring, the price is so reasonable, because if we have an active membership, it's only 25% of the class, and it's a 2-day course. So if you can find one online and sit in, it's really nice, I think, to kind of clear or solidify that information for you.
yes.
Awesome. Hey, Joe, how nice to see you.
You said you finished it. Well, so my camera on.
Well, I didn't know if you were there, so. And Karen, too, will get an opportunity to chat with you.
Yeah, so I started in 2018 and I did all the courses very enthusiastically back to back, very quickly. Not all of them, but the ones I did. And also before I did my practitioner certification, so that I then was actively not including all that stuff in my, I was doing my case studies and so on. So I love it, but I'm not confident doing it. But yeah, I just completed the Mod 5 a few weekends ago with you, which was wonderful.
Loved it.
So yeah, I feel like I'm ready to sort of dive in with this, but I absolutely do need to redo the courses.
Excellent. Well, nice opportunity to kind of walk through them all in 3 days. I love this class. I love teaching this class. I think it's just such a great opportunity and I'm going to call us all professionals, even if we're not in professional practice. When you're at this level of education, I consider you a colleague at a professional level. And so our conversation, as I mentioned, is a little bit different when we're revisiting this material, because we have taken it before, right? We have gone through it. So let's look at it where we can really pick out the highlights, the really key information. And I think sometimes even coming back to it from that perspective is also very, very beneficial, because it helps to, pull the mind or bring the focus to the really key pieces of information as we approach the material and integrate it into practice. So great to see you, Joe.
What would you say is a good preparation for doing the course in a few weeks?
Oh, great question. Definitely take a little bit of time with your advanced procedures. A lot of times we bring all of our focus to the content of the modules, but we forget about that procedural process. So I'd look over those again. How am I using those? Are there any things that are cloudy? Are there any things that are just not showing up? If you're going through each one of the modules, I would first look at your appendices, meaning the charts that you use. Right? Module 3 has those beautiful little flow charts. So you can take a look at those, just like in our fundamentals manual. Module 4 and 7, unfortunately that manual is a little sparse, but if you've taken it with me, I've sent you the kind of overview or summary of all of the techniques that we learned in the course. So you may have those. Module 6 and Module 9, I would take a look at those charts that come with, right? The planets, the houses, that beautiful chart, the minor chakras and the consciousness themes associated with it. The 8th chakra content, rather. And in Module 9, we also have the little appendices of working with matrices, right? The step-by-step guide of working with the matrices. So I'd really just kind of review those things. And if there's anything that just hits you as, whoa, I don't remember this part at all, maybe just flip through that manual to that little section and take a peek at it just to refresh yourself. And then you'll come at it with some questions perhaps. And we're going to walk through it all together as well. But I think that it's really a good idea when you're going to monitor a class, whether it's this one or any class you're going to monitor. Look at your materials a bit before you go into the class. Refresh your mind, because first of all, it'll help you to kind of ease into the content, but it'll also highlight the stuff that just didn't land and where you'd really love to have a little more clarity.
Thank you.
Great question, Joe. Hey, Karen. Hello, hello.
Hello.
I am in Washington State, so it's nice to meet Vanessa over this. I'm on the other side of the state.
Excellent.
I certified in 2015 and really haven't opened a practice either. I took the basic advanced classes and I took BAI with Sylvia in 2018. Theodora, you look familiar to me. I wonder if we were in that class together maybe. So I wanted to hear the once over again about like how you do the advanced certification, what you're gonna do, and yeah, I thought I was moving in that direction in 2018, then had kind of a personal trauma I've been journeying with for a while, and I just want to I want to open a practice for real. So
Brilliant.
trying to refresh everything and I don't know, have fun with it.
Excellent. Well, I love that. That's always my goal at the end of the day. Now, let's talk about that advanced certification because I know a few of you are interested in knowing more about that. So, like the basic certification, the advanced certification has certain prerequisites that we need to do. One, of course, is to take all of the advanced modules as well as the BAI. The BAI class is a prerequisite for advanced certification. We also are required, and you can find on page 19 through 21 on your policies and procedures on the members section of the IBA website. I'll show you where it is if I have time at the end. I just printed it all off, but there's a kind of a breakdown of what you need to do for advanced certification. So your course prerequisites I already talked about. Now there's another course prerequisite, which is an anatomy and physiology course. Now I will let you know a little bit about what's happening at the IBA and what I'm actively working on right now, and also how to go about this. So if you've come from a background where you've taken anatomy and physiology, maybe in university or maybe in another modality that you've studied, the IBA has a requirement that you completed a 90-hour A&P course and that you submit your transcripts in the course curriculum. Now that needs to be within a 10-year period. So if that was like 20 years ago, then there is a test you can take that allows you to kind of prove your level of understanding. Now, if you haven't taken anatomy physiology class, I am currently working on a holistic anatomy physiology class that will be the standard requirement for those of you who haven't taken it. However, it's not going to launch probably until sometime in the new year or toward the end of the next year because it's a huge undertaking for me. And so although I'm actively working on it, it's going to be a little bit before it's available for you. However, we are also creating a list of approved courses for you. So if you're interested in this, you haven't done A&P, you just need to contact me or contact the IBA office and we will help you to find something that's available to you that will also satisfy this requirement. Okay, so that's an anatomy physiology course credit. The other requirement from a course standpoint is that you take 2 other IBA courses other than Access. That isn't one of the ones they'll allow. But something like, any of the courses on Parama campus, for example. So let's say you've taken Beyond Technique with me, or you've taken Orthopedic Evaluation with Dr. D'Ambrosio, or you've taken any of John's courses that are on the Parama campus. So anything like that, you have to take 2 additional courses just to support your practice, okay? Then there is a session prerequisite, just like when you do your basic certification. This time they need you to show, or the examining instructor needs to know that you've done at least 250 sessions. Now, that doesn't mean you have to log them all and send them all to me. It does mean that I need some kind of indication through a period of time how many sessions you've done over these weeks. And for a lot of my students, they'll send me kind of a snapshot of their calendar. So I have an idea of, okay, how many sessions are they doing a week and when did they start measuring those? When did they hit 250? So you are actively counting them, right? When you get your 250 mark, you can send that little timeline in for me. Sherry Gilbert is also doing advanced certifications too. If at any point in time we can ask to see a couple examples of your sessions, right? but you don't have to send them all in like you did in the basic procedure or basic certification. Now there's also something called, and just like in the basic certification where you were required to have or show proof of receiving 5 personal BodyTalk sessions from different practitioners, in this case it's 10. Okay, now if those of you who have been in this work for a while, you've probably been receiving sessions for a while. All you need to do is really get receipts from your practitioner. Maybe you have them already, just to show that, yeah, I'm doing the work too. I'm not just studying, I'm not just practicing, I'm receiving this work. And that's important because, as I said, we take the steps first. So it's just an indication, just a way to show that, yep, I'm receiving sessions. And, another reason why John brought that in the beginning was because we learned so much from receiving sessions from colleagues, the way that they work. I think that's so important. How do they operate? How do they do sessions? How do they communicate? What is their whole process like? That's very, very helpful when you're setting up a practice, is to receive from other active practicing practitioners. Yes, Angela?
Sorry, I do lots of trades with other body talkers, so I don't necessarily have a receipt, but what would you like?
And so you could just ask from that practitioner some type of indication of when they did the session for you. Yeah, no problem. Then, case studies. This is, I think, one of the most beneficial part of the advanced certification. It's the thing that, for my students, as I've taken them through, they've taken the most away. They've really learned from this process. So you're required to follow 5 different clients through a case study dynamic. And in the case study, you're basically following them through a series of sessions. Now, I always say there's no exact amount you need to do, but I usually recommend 3 to 5 sessions with each of these 5 case studies. So you can actually track progress with your client and incorporating some form of evaluation. So in every one of the classes I teach, I know I teach self-evaluation. You could be using a 1 to 10 scale of subjective measurement, stress level, energy level, pain level, etc. with your client. You could be using any kind of diagnostics, right? Anything that they receive. Maybe they're undergoing some medical testing. Maybe you use other tools in your practice, but some kind of way to measure the beginning and end of a session, and then the next session. Right? So we're kind of tracking. Healing doesn't go straight up in a trajectory. Sometimes it takes some interesting pathways, and it's such a learning experience for yourself, for your client. And we're going to document the sessions just like you did for your logbook in your basic certification. So you can submit those to the practitioner or to the instructor so we can review them. Obviously, it's going to take you wherever it takes you, but it's an opportunity for us to see how you work with that advanced material in your practice. Yes, Teo?
Those can be distant and in-person sessions?
Yeah, in the past we used to require that they were in person. I think for measurement, it's really nice that if you can do it in person, but now so many of us work remotely that we're definitely a little bit more open to looking at the variety. And hey, Todd, did you just send me something? No, you didn't. Todd is my IT support.
There's a comment. Yeah. There's a comment in the chat, so I just want to let you know. Just get to it whenever.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Anna, you'd want to take the class after the Mod 9 class because you need to take the Mod 9 before you can take the BAI. Yeah. But don't worry, there will be more. Okay. Yeah. So that's what the case studies are all about. And yeah, a little more flexible now. We could do some online ones because so many of us, that's the nature of our practice. But it is really nice if you can do in person because then you can do posture pictures. You could do whatever kind of measurements you've been taught to use as well, which is kind of fun. Then there are 2 exams. So one exam covers the material of modules 3 and 6. And the other exam, module 4, 7, and 9. You can take them back to back. You can take them at separate times. We used to have to do them physically. So when a teacher was in town, you would make an appointment and you'd come and you'd sit and write the exam while they're there. Or we would set it up with a proctor, meaning somebody who would come and sit would receive the exam, give it to you and watch you write it, and then send it back to the instructor. However, now because we do so much online, we can also now do these exams as an oral exam. So you're online with your instructor. We take you through the questions like a PowerPoint. You can write out your answers and notes and then share them, or you can just answer, right? So it's a really, I think, a very nice way to do the exam now, because it's a little bit more discussion based and less writing. Now, there's a 3-hour time limit for each exam. And usually when it's oral, my students take half of that. When it's written, it might take longer because you're writing for a long time. So it's a nice option now to really bring it into more of an online one-on-one with your instructor. What else did I want to tell you about that? And just like the basic certification, if for some reason didn't pass that advanced exam, you can retake it. It just means that you have to pay the fee again. So the fee is $300 US per exam. And that's covering both the IBA fee and the instructor fee. Remember that for the instructor fee, it's because we're going to review all your case studies, we're going to review your sessions, we're going to spend the hours with you online. So there's quite a relationship that you build with your supervising instructor because we'll be with you through that process for sure. Anything else I wanted to tell you that there is an exam study guide online. So just like the basic certification, there's an advanced exam study guide to give you some hints and tips and things to focus on for the course. And of course, in the BAI class, we talk a lot about that too, right? Prep for the exam, things to really be paying attention to. Remember that at this level, it's very conceptual. So it's important about knowing the information, not just memorizing it, but knowing why, right? What's the concept that we're embracing? And I think when we learn how to talk about something, then it also gives us greater ease in an exam situation as well. So that's basically what's required in an advanced certification. And if I can show you very quickly, I'm just going to go to the IBA website and I'll show you where you can find that information. And I will also show you, one moment, where you can actually kind of track your progress as well. So if I share my screen with you, I'll just show you where to find all of that. So if you log in, and it'll take you to the members area, you're going to go down to member, and we're going to look for downloads. Okay, so I'm going to the member section and I'm clicking on downloads. And then we're going to scroll down to policies and procedures. And on the policies and procedures document. And then we can just do a quick scroll down to page 19. Oops. There we go. Okay, and it starts talking here about that advanced certification. So everything I've just walked you through is outlined here as well. Right, so that's where you can find that. The other thing that, oh goodness, it's going to give me a hard time for a sec. Hold on, I'm just going to stop sharing for one moment, and then I'll bring that back up again. Okay, technology. Okay, I think we're good here. All right. When you are, let me see if I go to account. I was just going to show you where you can see how you're doing. That is not what I want to add. Oh, no, it's not going to show me. When you're working, you're going to be able to see exactly where you're at. And unfortunately, it's not showing me at the moment because I've already completed it. But you will have a little thing once you start in that process that shows you advanced certification. And everything you complete, it will show you that you finished it, which is really nice because it'll give you sort of the percentage. How much have you done so far? What do you still need to do to cross off your list? So that's a really nice feature. You're just going to have to look for that on your own. Now, one thing before I forget, and then I'll come to the chat, is that we wanted to give you a special offer for coming in and chatting today in the Q&A. I do have a BAI class coming up at the end of September 29th to October 1st. And the early bird has now passed. So if any of you didn't sign up and you did want to sign up for that class, just as a gift for coming today, we'll give you 10% off at the price of that class. So just send me a message letting me know that you'd like to register and you'd like to take advantage of that 10% discount, and I will apply that for you when you register.
You froze just when you were saying that.
Oh, did I? Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you, Todd. So the reward is that for those of you who are here today, if you want to join in on that class at the end of September, despite the fact that the early bird rate has completed, we'll give you 10% off the registration fee of that class. So simply send me an email and let me know that you'd like to register. In fact, I'll see your registration come through if you do apply for registration, and we'll apply that 10% discount for you. So you'll receive basically the replacement of that early bird fee. Now, I do also have 2 more courses planned this year. One is actually in person in November, 24th to the 26th in Switzerland. So if any of you are really wanting to come for a nice little break, this one I will obviously be teaching in English, but it will have German translation as well. The benefit of taking something with translation is it gives you extra time to write your notes. And in December, from the 14th to the 17th, I will also be teaching online again. This one is for the Brazilian matrix. So it is online. It's in Brasilia time, which is similar to Central Standard, but sometimes 1 hour different. And again, this one will have Portuguese translation, but of course I am teaching it in English. So even though we have translation, you'll be hearing it in English first. So those are available. I will, of course, be scheduling some in the new year, but I'm currently working on my new year schedule at the moment. So you'll have to wait a little bit on that one. But if you would like to join us for Teresa's class at the end of September, just send me a quick little message. I will put my contact information in the chat in a moment and let me know, and I will apply that 10% discount for you as well. Unfortunately for monitors, you're already getting that big discount. That's really for new students. But I will, before I forget, add my contact. And I will then answer your question, Karen. Oh, sorry. Okay, we're good. I haven't used my Portuguese keyboard for a little while, so bear with me one sec. Okay. There we go. Okay, there we go. So Karen, your question was about the 250 sessions. Yeah, those ones really, I tend to like to see those before you do the exams. You don't have to do them beforehand. You can send them in after. But one of the things that I've tended to notice with students is that the ones who leave that until after don't always finish it. They do all the hard work to do their exam, and then I'm just waiting on the case studies, or I'm just waiting on the sessions for quite some time. So I would recommend, if it's possible, to aim to get those in before you do the exam. And that way the exam kind of finishes that certification. It is not required though. You can do it in whatever order you want. That's just from observation and working with several students over the last couple of years. Now, any other questions I can answer for you that I haven't already done? Angela?
Sessions are paid or not paid?
It doesn't matter.
250. Okay.
Nope, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just as long as you've done them. Excellent. And any other questions? Elaine, was that a question or a wave? Okay. No other questions? We covered them all? Excellent. Well, I'd like to thank you for taking this time to come and chat and reconnect. It's always good just to see everybody again. And I do look forward to seeing you in a class soon. I really hope you consider taking this one with me. As I said, if there's any other logistical questions, you can always reach out to Teresa as the coordinator of this upcoming class. If you are interested in the other two with translation and you have any questions about that, again, feel free to send me a message about those classes. And yeah, it's been a pleasure to reconnect with you all. And I hope that it's giving you a little bit of something to think about, maybe some inspiration, or sometimes when we just plug in for a Q&A, it just reminds us of a class we haven't thought of for a while. Maybe we pick up that manual again and start to revisit it, because every time we come back to that material, we learn something new, right? Remember, a new version of you is looking at that every time. And so that is a wonderful way sometimes just to plug back into the matrix. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. It was great to see you all. And I look forward to seeing you either in this class or another class soon. Stay well and enjoy the last little bit of this summer, if you're on this side of the equator anyway. Thank you.
Tracy.
Great to see you all.